This is Bill Simmons, and I want to tell you about my movie podcast, The Rewatchables, where each week I'm joined by ringer movie lovers, Chris Ryan, Sean Vennessy, Van Lathan, Kyle Brandt, Mally Rubin. We have a whole bunch of people on. We talk about movies we can't stop rewatching, and now you can watch us cover these movies on video in the Spotify app. We have covered over 350 movies, including Heat, Goodfellas, Boogie Nights, Pulp Fiction. We have some real heavy hitters coming up here in 2025. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, where you can watch every new episode right now. Just head to the Rewatchables on Spotify, now on video.
Welcome to the Ringer NFL Draft Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are going over all the things that are happening on day 1 of free agency, day 4. I don't really know where you start the clock, because technically it's 3:30 Eastern and it hasn't even started at all yet, but it also kind of started on like Friday when the Raiders traded for Geno Smith. So who knows when this started, but we're going to go through everything that we did not touch on Monday. We were also on Bill's show on Tuesday, so you can check out the Bill Simmons pod. We went on that as well. I kind of want to just start, honestly, where we started Bill's show, which is, Craig, Aaron Rodgers is still edging us.
This man is making me get on my knees and beg.
You guys get mad at me for saying skeet when it comes to Blue Sky, and then Heifetz just comes in with edging us?
He is,
well, that's because I'm using it the way I meant it.
He is edging us.
We're gooners?
That's what I meant. You just say skeet like, I don't know.
I am being forced to goon for Rodgers against my will.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's going to be so funny. It's going to be so funny, Craig, when Aaron Rodgers just signs with the Giants and Heifetz is distraught, and Craig actually wants Aaron Rodgers on his team.
There's only one thing more sad than wanting Aaron Rodgers on your team. It's wanting Aaron Rodgers and not getting him.
Spurned. I actually kind of do think at this point, if I had to guess, Aaron Rodgers actually is just holding this out for the attention. He's had 100%. So long to think about this.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe he signs today, but I kind of think the fact that he has it, if he doesn't sign by the time this episode's over, like once we're healthily past 4:30 Eastern, I don't know when he'll do it. He might do it next week. This guy's just going to hold out, and I'm just so mad.
He's waiting for his Pat McAfee show appearance. When's that happening?
Isn't that every Tuesday? When does he do that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tuesdays. Dude, should we even talk about this or just move on? I just don't. I hate that.
We should just move on.
I hate this guy.
I'm not going to give him
sick of him
the satisfaction of talking to him. I know you're listening, Aaron, and we're going to move on.
Let's talk about my real quarterback here. Daniel Jones signed with the Indianapolis Colts for a 1-year contract for $14 million. Every reporter is basically just saying they all seem to have gotten to talk to people from the Colts who are like, Danny Dimes will get to compete for the quarterback job. And so I just want to ask you guys a question here. Am I understanding this correctly? The whole plan here is basically that because Anthony Richardson was so not unprofessional, but like not professional, too young. So needs to practice more, needs to work with his receivers more, needs to fix his mechanics, needs to take on time to meetings, take this all more seriously. So they're signing Daniel Jones to scare Anthony Richardson straight. Is that not right, DK?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that this is a signing that has enough plausibility where Daniel Jones could become the starter. The money is plausible enough that he could become the starter. What was it that he got?
$14 million.
Yeah. I mean, that's not nothing. And I think this is a pretty good job by the Colts of threading the needle, because I don't think Dimes is actually better than Anthony Richardson. I know you guys maybe feel a little bit differently. I think Anthony Richardson has.
Look,
you don't. I think Craig maybe does.
I want to. I want to kind of walk that back. I said that on Bill's pod, and then I was like, do I actually believe that? I'm not sure I do. I think. Yeah. I think I'm just so scorned by Anthony Richardson that I no longer believe in any way. And I'm like, I've seen Daniel Jones be competent. I don't know if I've seen Anthony Richardson be competent.
I want to tell the Craig that I knew after week 1 last year when Anthony Richardson threw that pass from the logo where he slipped. I want to tell him that he's going to say by the end of the year, Daniel Jones is better than Anthony Richardson.
God, yeah.
The Colts bring in Daniel Jones to scare straight Anthony Richardson is one of those situations where 5 years from now, what do you guys think the odds are that 5 years from now we're like, yeah, so Anthony Richardson was this guy, he played like 12 games in college, and they drafted him 4th overall, and he came in. First year, he pretty scattered, got hurt, missed most of the season. Second year, he came in, wasn't very good, took himself out of the game because he was tired, got benched by Joe Flacco, who's 41 and retired and came back. And then year 3, they brought in Daniel Jones as competition to kind of scare him, and it totally worked. And then Anthony Richardson is now kind of a perennial fringe all-pro, and they're making the playoffs.
That's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of variables you threw in there.
I just 20%.
20% that's going to happen.
Year 3 being like, yeah, so the thing that finally worked, it was not working for 2 straight, and then it finally, we brought in Daniel Jones, and that was enough. And now Anthony Richardson has reached his potential.
Craig, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like, this is definitely underwhelming in terms of, the realistic factor in terms of Daniel Jones really pushing Anthony Richardson. But I think it is actually, like I said, you kind of have to thread the needle because you don't want the fan base like pining for Daniel Jones. Well, you don't want the fan base pining for the backup and thinking the backup is actively better. And I think Daniel Jones, what he has going for him right now is not that great of a reputation. That's actually good. That's a good thing for Anthony Richardson. Well, I think they did a pretty good job in terms of getting a guy who's plausible enough that he could end up being the starter, but he's not going to be a type of guy that the fans are like, we gotta get Daniel Jones in there. Like, this is we're blowing this season because Daniel Jones is not in the lineup right now.
Isn't that what's so funny though about this? Is that they went with it like basically put it this way. We have a bunch of amazing emails later in this episode from all the parents who we asked for people, what lies you tell your children to get them to do stuff.
There's an element of that here.
And Danny Kelly, you had this great example of like, the Paw Patrol no Paw Patrol, it's broken. The machine's broken. Sorry. You have
all
to watch Bluey. And then we have all these great emails later about how parents, the ice cream machine, actually when the music's playing, it's because they're out of ice cream. And, just a bunch of emails like that. Isn't that basically what the Colts are doing? Where they have to find someone plausible enough. Oh, Anthony, if you don't work out, we're going to play Daniel Jones. Meanwhile, if Anthony Richardson doesn't work out and they play Daniel Jones, they're super fired. Everyone at the Colts, super fired if Daniel Jones has to play and is not incredible. So they need Anthony Richardson to win. This is just lying to your child.
For what it's worth, I have heard a couple whispers this offseason that like Anthony Richardson getting benched last year did actually help in terms of like getting him a little bit more focused and I guess like realizing the gravity of his role in the organization. I have heard some whispers of positivity about that. So I'm really hoping that he kind of, figures it out and does this leap that we were kind of expecting him to do last year in year 3 instead.
And I'm heavily on record that benching him was smart. And never understood the criticism of people benching him for that, of just him taking himself out of the game, where again,
I went both ways with that, where I was like, am I being a boomer for being really mad at him for taking himself out of the game? But I've gone completely the other direction. Like, I've never seen that before. That is ludicrous to take yourself out of the game as the quarterback. The starting quarterback raises his hand and like taps his helmet and comes out of the game. That is just so absurd. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
My take, I think, was on the Fantasy Rewatchables was that it's fine to do that. The problem was telling the truth about it in the presser after.
Sure.
It's true.
Just say you got kicked in the dick or something.
Say you got the wind knocked out of you.
Yeah.
But again, I think that the reason it resonated is the players. It's kind of like Survivor. These stories that come out. I don't watch a ton of Survivor, but my friends do explain it as basically I was confused why they liked one guy to win instead of the other, and they were like, "Look, Survivor is seeing what is it, an hour a day, and there's 23 other hours that those people spent with each other that you didn't see. Mm-hmm. So if there's vibes you're getting in the interviews about who likes who, there's probably a bunch of stuff they don't like about that person you've never seen, or do like about that person you don't see.
They have to listen to him eat."
Exactly. So if DeForest Buckner, who is the captain of the Colts, says to Richardson after that, I like signed here to win a Super Bowl with you, and you're like just like making me feel like I'll never win a Super Bowl, like because of the bet. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think it's just that. It's clearly representative of like everything else they're seeing. And if they need to do it, they need to do it. But the point being, he's 22, going on 23 years old.
That's wild. He's so young.
Almost 23. Yeah, 22-year-olds, they're late for shit sometimes. Like, I think that's the thing. We're obsessed with youth. Youth is wasted on the young. There's a reason that saying is like 4,000 years old. The only thing I'll say...
I was thinking that the other day.
Is it 4,000 years old? Is that right?
I kind of just assumed. I don't know. I didn't really check that. I assume.
Great.
Here, can I just give you like
Craig's
a haunting...
I don't think we were around 4,000 years ago. The aliens
check
brought
with
us
Rodgers.
Yeah.
The aliens gave us that saying. Can I give you guys a scary scenario I've been thinking about? Because obviously, if Richardson plays great this year, like I'll be happy. I want Richardson to play well.
Mm-hmm.
He's still.
Is this leading to an RFK Jr. impression from Craig? Are you ready, Craig?
No, we're gonna get there.
Please,
fear with
I'm
Richardson.
Sick. I can't do that this week.
No, yeah, he's gonna kill
That'll
him.
set me back 3 days.
Yeah, Craig's got measles. I think here's the problem with Richardson. If he doesn't work out and they cut him, you know who's gonna sign him? The fucking Eagles. And the Eagles going to plant Richardson's ass behind Jalen Hurts, and he's going to win like 2 Super Bowls with them. He's going to replace Jalen Hurts.
Look, when it's working for Anthony Richardson, it's working. It looks good. Like when he does roll out and complete a pass and like shed a 350-pound lineman.
Oh my God.
It is enticing. It's tantalizing. And
I think, the frustrating part about him and watching him, and I think the reason a lot of people are high on him still and were really high on him going into last year is like he does the hard stuff at times really well in terms of like avoiding, and he avoids sacks even when he's under pressure. He's a really good job of, he has a good feel for the pocket, all those things. But the easy stuff, or the stuff that should be easy, like completing a 5-yard out, and he just chucks it over the guy's head. It's like a footwork thing. It's a reps thing. I'm hoping that this can be improved and
the problem
fixed.
is the Colts are not a disaster. The Colts have a good offensive line, theoretically, like a good coach with a good play caller. I mean, there's like a decent for a guy going in the top 5. This team, to me, is a team that a good quarterback should be able to be okay on.
And look, I would say if I could describe the Colts last year in one sentence, it's Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, tried to teach Anthony Richardson about maturity. So, I don't know.
By the way, Troy points out youth is often wasted on the young is attributed to George Bernard Shaw, an Irish playwright who lived from 1856 to 1950. So about 4,000 years ago.
Yeah. I bet I can find someone to tell me it was the Greeks.
It might as well be 4,000 years ago.
Yeah. I'm just going to find some ancient Sumerian.
By the way, George Bernard Shaw is my dog's name.
What?
Just want to point that out.
And that's
George's last name is Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skippy Shaw. And Bernard's his middle name, of course.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention with the Colts, while we're talking about the Colts being solid, I like actually what they did elsewhere in free agency. So they signed Travarius Ward from San Francisco. He's a cornerback. He had a down year last year. He had a terrible year in his life personally, and I think that he just needed a reset. But I think he's a good player. Cam Bynum, the safety from Minnesota, came over. And this is important for 2 reasons. The Lou Anarumo is the defensive coordinator for the Colts, and they have more complex defensive stuff in the secondary, and I think that those guys are going to be able to do it. More importantly, Cam Bynum from Minnesota is the Vikings' rom-com turnover celebration guy. Cam Bynum's the safety who did the white chicks dance. He did the Parent Trap dance. He did the Olympic breakdancer dance. He was honestly at the cutting edge of dancing. In the end, he brought frankly like celebrations back. I feel like they had stagnated, and he just upped it a level. So I mean, that's in Indianapolis now.
That'll change the vibes. That Australian breakdancer. I mean, she's going to live on for a long time for what she did and what she gave to us.
I thought she was the best Halloween costume of the year. I had a friend, shout out my friend Jenna, who was that for Halloween, and it was so good. And then she did it in the middle of the party, and it was pretty great.
Because it's great because it's actually very easy to replicate because
it was not
hard.
Yes.
Brutal.
Oh my God.
It's on the ground spinning in a circle.
Oh my God. Also, wait, before we move on, gun to your head, do you think Daniel Jones plays well for multiple games for the Colts this year? Or you talk yourself back into him, yes or no? DK?
No.
Craig?
Because of a benching or an injury?
He's going to play, and like when he plays, you'll be like, oh, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that'll happen this year.
Yeah, you're going to talk yourself into him. Other fantasy stuff, or just other free agency stuff that happened. I want to just do sad fantasy corner really quickly.
Yeah.
Because, man, it's kind of sad.
The dregs.
Baltimore signs DeAndre Hopkins to a 1-year deal for $5 million. It really is the dregs.
I would have taken fucking Hopkins right about now, by the way. This
Marquez
is not the
Valdez-Scantling, is it moving the needle?
Oh, yeah, so the Seahawks got Valdez-Scantling?
Which is like if DK Metcalf was emaciated and had no hands.
You ever heard the expression, the chickens have come home to roost? I made fun of and I've turned Marcus Valdez-Scantling for some reason. This is more of just a bit than anything into kind of like my arch nemesis. For whatever reason, he just drives me nuts with his very timely drops.
The entire run of the show. It's one of the few threads of like every season shows you hate Valdez-Scantling.
I hate Valdez-Scantling, even though he's done nothing to me, and he's a fine player. He's a fine role player.
You went
but anyway,
Geno Smith throwing to Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and now you have Sam Darnold throwing it to Marquez Valdez.
So you know what's funny too about it?
Great.
That's it. So bad. You know what else is funny about it? You know that episode of It's Always Sunny?
Don't say it all together. It just ruins it.
Do you guys know that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they go to the Eagles practice because they want to meet Donovan McNabb, and then a guy shows up and he just pretends to be Donovan McNabb, but he doesn't even look like him, and he just pretends he's McNabb. Yeah. That's kind of like Valdez-Scantling showing up to and he's just pretending he's DK Metcalf.
He needs to do a lot of steroids.
Yeah, you're not DK Metcalf.
You want to hear my Kupp version of this and why I'm predicting at some point in week 9 we're going to be talking about MVS as a waiver wire pickup. He's going to play the Rashid Shaheed role for the Seahawks in that offense, where he just catches like one touchdown bomb every third week, and we like think he's good for some reason. Anyways, it makes sense because he's coming over with Clint Kubiak, but it is not a move that instills confidence in me.
Okay, this is way too much Valdez-Scantling talk. DeAndre Hopkins went to the Baltimore Ravens. 1 year deal, $5 million, another $1 million of incentives.
Why are the Ravens the team that just, I guess, it's just Super Bowl chasing team?
But the Ravens they're kind of the aging superstar graveyard for wide receivers.
It's like 100%. Every year, it's like we had Odell Beckham.
Dude, Steve Smith was there. Des Bryant was on the Ravens at the end of his career.
Well, that's the thing with Hopkins. I'm curious. He was so bad last year, but he tweaked his knee in August, and I feel like they said it was a tweak, but maybe an MCL injury or a tweak. And I'm like, that sounds to me like
but a tweak, doesn't that mean you're tearing something? Even if you tweak
is what you say when you don't want people to know that you're hurt. But I don't know if
you can't tweak a ligament without tearing it. Like every time when you pull a ligament, you're tearing.
That's tearing.
Also, a sprain is a tear, which I also don't know if people know. But a sprain, if you sprain your ankle, you tore a ligament of some degree to some amount in your. Anyway, DeAndre Hopkins' MCL or something on his knee was hurt, torn, something in August. And then he looked so done throughout the whole year. And then, I mean, the AFC Championship game versus Buffalo, dude, Hopkins played 12 snaps in that game. Like he was. So I guess what I'm curious,
some of these veteran receivers late in the season just completely fell off like a cliff. We remember Amari Cooper on the Bills.
Yeah. Also playing like 15 snaps. So that's the thing. Do you think Hopkins could be
totally
impactful?
Fell off late?
Do you think Hopkins is impactful though, and like gets healthier and is like better than last year, or do you think that actually he's like done?
No.
I also I struggle with these guys like fitting in the Baltimore offense. It feels like it's like some vet wide receiver that's going to have some like back shoulder connection with Lamar Jackson. Doesn't feel like that's what they need in the first place. I feel like that's not how they operate anyway. Them with their tight ends, their running game, and Zay Flowers is kind of working. And like DeAndre Hopkins playing 20 snaps, it's like maybe you get one great play with him, but to me that doesn't feel like what the Ravens need.
I would agree with that. I think for him, it's probably just he gets the opportunity to go chase a Super Bowl. For the Ravens, it's a reliable third option that could come in and, give them some snaps if a guy gets hurt. I mean, if you look at the other guys on their roster right now, Deontay Johnson, remember that? That was an absolute disaster.
I'm not kidding. When he has been on 3 teams since the Steelers. He went to the Panthers, they cut him, the Texans cut him, and the Ravens cut him.
But the only other receiver that is not a free agent right now on the Ravens roster is Devontae Walker, a rookie from last year, who barely played. Tylan Wallace is a free agent. Nelson Aguilar is a free agent. Steven Sims and Deontay Hardy are the 2 guys, or the 3 guys that are on that roster that are free agents. So basically, this is just a depth play. They're hedging. They don't have to take a guy in the draft to fill out their roster. It's a smart play, and I would honestly be really excited if the Seahawks had signed Hopkins. Yeah. So I'm saying this is a good move for them.
He has the cool story that his dad, who passed away when he was like really young, his dad left him this like fur mink coat, and he said Hopkins was like going to wear it either on his wedding day or when he made the Super Bowl, and he wore it to the Super Bowl. And it was like there was a really cool. Honestly, the Chiefs were like not the easiest team to root for this year, but like, man, that was a pretty cool story. So like, I kind of do want him to go to the Ravens and maybe wear that coat again. But at the same time, I do think all these ring chasing receivers have this problem where they're on the decline because they're injured, so you don't practice as much, but you don't get the report. So the actual value you have is like IQ, but you need to be on the same page with the quarterback. So like you look at Hopkins, you're like, man, why didn't he like have the rapport with Mahomes? They're not really able to practice.
Yeah.
And so that's really the death knell is they're not getting any reps. So they don't look like they're part of the
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Vicious circle? Vicious cycle.
Cycle.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
vicious
cycle really is just a circle.
Now I got you.
Well, Vicious Circle was the name of a Dane Cook stand-up special.
Yeah, I had that.
It's Vicious Circle.
I had that on the iTunes store. Vicious Circle.
It's not Vicious Cycle. I know the stand-up special was Circle, but I thought it's
definitely
was
Vicious Cycle is a saying. Dane Cook, dude, that album. Yeah, Dane Cook had some bangers.
Nobody wants to talk.
I'm seeing on Wikipedia Vicious Circle. On dictionary.com, vicious circle, but there's also an option for vicious cycle. I think it's one of those things that people just say wrong.
But that phrase has been around for like 4,000 years.
Yeah. George Bernard Shaw. So Najee Harris signed with the Chargers, $5 million up to $9 million in incentives. This is one of the, talk about sad fantasy corner. I think not everyone's going to be like, I don't want Najee, and then he's going to score 18 touchdowns. I will say, though, I didn't know this full story. Did you guys know the story of Jim Harbaugh trying to recruit Najee Harris in college?
No, but I love these things.
I just found this out. I didn't really know this, but so Najee Harris was like one of the like a top 10 recruit. He was like the number 2 running back in America, and Harbaugh
From
was
Oakland,
obsessed.
right?
Yeah, say again.
Yeah.
Was he from the Bay?
Yeah.
Yes, he's from the Bay, and so he commits to like Alabama as a sophomore, and then Jim Harbaugh decides that he had just gotten Rashawn Gary, who was the number 1 prospect in America, and he wanted Najee Harris, so he like goes full tilt after Najee, including. Jim Harbaugh went to Najee Harris's high school, dressed in all high school clothing, and announced the prom king and prom queen at a football game.
Whoa.
What?
And he literally like it was shameless. It's insane. With Jim Harbaugh, like, and he's just sitting there and just announcing the prom queen votes.
College football
that
recruiting
too much?
is weird.
Is that a nick?
I think it's way too much.
Came on too hard.
So
Yeah.
Najee
Came on
Harris
too strong.
It's like somebody's dad like coming downstairs and playing beer pong with the kids. It's like we actually don't need that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Tell me how much money you're going to pay me under the table. That's what I
Yeah.
really want.
So Najee Harris is at the Under Armour like All-American game, and all the prospects fly from that to like where they're going to college and start getting in like spring stuff. Najee Harris has not decided between Bama or Michigan. Bama gave him a plane ticket. Michigan gave him a plane ticket. He hasn't talked to either, and he doesn't know what flight he's going to get on. So he's there, and he's in the hotel lounge, and like the day before, and Tua is just there. Tua is just there reading the Bible, and he's like, "Are you going to Alabama?" Tua's like, "Yeah, I am. You should come to Bama." And Najee's like, "All right, I'll go to Bama." And then he just got on the plane and went to Alabama.
So Tua is responsible, or is it
Yeah.
God, the Lord, really?
Both. Well, some would say Tua as a vessel
the word.
through the Bible.
Yeah.
But they won the championship the next year. But Najee's like, I watched this video of him today. He actually is like, that's how I made the decision.
Yeah, but
This
now,
is
now Harbaugh going after him. How many years later?
10 years later.
10 years. That's like, the girl you thought was hot in high school. You kind of look back now. I'm being respectful, but oftentimes, you look back and it's like, man, things have changed a little bit.
Respectfully.
That is not how I once perceived them. I'm sure people feel the same way about me or whoever. So you know what? That's just how it goes.
He's digging himself out of this hole.
Look, I think everybody's experienced that. But, being a single 30-year-old being like, I'm going to go back to the girl from high school 15 years ago is kind of what Harbaugh's doing. In reality,
it's like a Thanksgiving after college. Or whatever.
Exactly. Hooking up with the one bar in town.
31 years old. And you're just like, oh my God.
And it's like, this is cool. And, Harbaugh's probably going to give him 30 carries a game. But to me, I'm like, don't the Chargers need people who can outrun other defenders? And
they need fast players. This is the antithesis of a fast player.
It's literally Najee Harris. Their other running backs are Hassan Haskins, who also went to Michigan, and then Kamani Vidal, who honestly is just like the Kirkland brand Blake Corum, because the Blake Corum went before the Chargers could take him.
Yeah, I mean, Najee is like the definition of fine. He's a fine running back.
Does this mean that the J.K. Dobbins era is over?
Well, he's a free agent, right?
I think so. I think
but
what it
he's
really
probably
means,
not going to. They might not re-sign him now.
I do think what it really means is I do think the Chargers are going to have like a 2 to 3 year window where they draft really well. It's kind of like the Seahawks when Pete Carroll came back, just because the Harbaugh recruiting, he's obsessed with this stuff. It's such a silly story, but it matters. He put the 5-star, everyone's star ranking on their locker in the Chargers locker room. It's anyway. So
this is to be serious for a second. Like, this happens all the time in the NFL, especially when you have coaches that come from the college game to the pros, but even just scouts that have been, they've been in the scouting ranks and then they turn into GMs or whatever. They remember back in the day when a guy was a 5-star, even if he's done absolutely nothing since being a 5-star recruit, they will remember that 5-star recruit. There's like a not a mythology, like a mystical. No, I always mix this word up. It's like a mystical feel.
I think you're looking for mythical, not
no.
mystical.
I'm looking for mystical. It's like there's almost like a mysticism or mysticalness about it when you're this 5-star guy.
Circle.
A mysticality, if you will.
A mysticality.
Mystical.
No. That's like that video. Have you guys seen that video of Bobby Altoff talking to that musician? And she's like, Drake?
Yes. Yeah.
No. I actually don't know who this woman is, but she's like, oh, so as a musician, and the woman's like, what did you call me? She's like, a musician. She goes, I don't do magic.
Right.
And Bobby's like, no, I think you're misunderstanding me. Like, you're a musician. She goes, hold on. I don't know what you think I do, but like, I act, I make music, I write songs, I sing. And she's like, correct. So you play music, right? She's like, yes. She's like, so then that would make you a musician. And she's like, no, I don't know what that is. It's an incredible video.
That's how I just felt.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you still don't know what you were trying to say. Mysticism.
There's something mystical about a 5-star ranking.
Speaking of which, give this show 5 stars on Spotify. Boom.
Yeah, there we go. Great one. Great
5
one.
stars.
Love those stars. All right, we can move on.
Yeah, it's fine. Najee, we'll talk. We have all 6.
A lot of time on the most
Love a good
mid-signing.
5-star guy.
Javonte Williams signed with Dallas, 1 year, $3 million. Who cares? Let's just use this. We'll take the time back here and be like, you know what? He won't be the starting running back for them. And if he is, that's kind of funny.
I feel like it's funny that you're glossing over the one thing that might actually matter in fantasy here. They did.
Well, we just talked about mythical
Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle is not signed. He's not on the team. He's a free agent. I think there's an indication now that they're not bringing him back. Javonte Williams could be the starter. Why are we glossy over this? Could be a fantasy guy.
He's underwhelming enough that he could. He's
the year after the year after the year after the injury.
He is year after the year after
the third.
Injury, yeah.
Is this the third year after?
It's the year. It's the year after the year after.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're in. You're right. I guess I'm in on Javonte Williams.
I don't know. I feel like it was. I think it was further back. Hold on. When did Javonte
it was a bad
get
injury?
hurt?
It was 2022, but they got hurt again. We're gonna do this now.
He tore his ACL in October of 2022. It's now going to be October of 2025. Just saying, it's 3 years ago. But that's fine.
But you know what the sun is almost a year in advance. So.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Other free agency stuff. So the 49ers lost 8 guys this week. They really lost 8 guys in one day. And honestly, this is just like Saving Private Ryan, but it's like saving Private Purdy. Like all these 49ers guys just died so they could just pay Brock Purdy his contract.
Jeez.
Like, is that wrong? Am I wrong?
I mean, no, but they're not dying literally.
Well, I know. It was you're right.
We lost so many. We lost a lot of good men out there.
No one actually died, to my knowledge, for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, you know, free
DK
agency.
said that because there was probably a lot of people driving who thought that 9 San Francisco 49ers were murdered.
Died.
Or who
So
died.
Brock Purdy could get paid.
Killed in action.
It's a metaphor. It really happened, though. But so the 49ers backup left tackle Jalen Moore and the backup running back Elijah Mitchell went to the Chiefs. The linebacker Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Ufanga went to Denver. Travaris Ward, as I said, went to the Colts. Aaron Banks, the guard, went to the Packers for like $70 million. Josh Dobbs even left him for the Patriots. They cut Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle. They cut Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback.
Man, the
Traded
Juszczyk
Debo.
era is over? That is wild.
And they signed Luke Farrell, the random Jags tight end fullback guy, to be Juszczyk. But Bill Barnwell had the stat of all the free agents who signed a $15 million per year deal on Monday, a fifth of the guys were just former 49ers players.
They're just going to get a ton of comp picks after this year. There's also rumors or some whispers that they're going to trade Ayuk. They're doing I don't think reset.
That makes it. I can literally look at his contract right now, but like I don't.
I know they just signed him.
They just re-signed him and he tore his ACL. And
also, like
MCL
for what? Who is going to pay?
Probably nobody.
I mean, I'll look right now. Like if they maybe watch him be traded by the time this goes up. But I'm like, if they traded him, it would be 40 million dead cap. Oh, dude, I don't. Also, who's doing that?
Nobody.
All right, well, that was easy.
No one.
But overall, though, I feel like of all the ones with the Niners, though, I think Dre Greenlaw hurts them the most because honestly, he was like the juice on that defense. Also, Niners offense, oldest offense in the NFL last year by snap weighted age. And then on defense, you lose Greenlaw, who, I mean, he's obviously the guy who like tore his Achilles running on the field for the Super Bowl. Came back, was actually awesome in the Rams game. He got hurt again. But when he's on the field, he's been one of the better linebackers in the whole league.
The vibes are really low for Niners fans. A lot of my friends are officially deciding that the window is closed, the team has been pillaged, and it's over.
I have nothing to say about all this.
Yeah, you're right. DK doesn't want to comment because he's going to jinx it. The Seahawks
I don't believe in jinxes, but I don't want to say anything about this.
I had an argument with Austin Gale this morning about this. And my take is basically like the Niners are not an S-tier NFL team anymore. Like they're still a 10-win team. They're still a team that can beat, like they still can beat anyone in the league. Like they can beat the Eagles in a game. They've kicked the shit out of the Eagles actually in recent years. But I don't like the depth that they're losing. They're just not a top-tier Super Bowl contender right now. And the way these things go, like I actually think I'm optimistic that Shanahan could reintegrate like Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings and like rebuild this offense on the fly. But overall, I mean, the only people from that first Super Bowl left on the team is 4 guys. It's George Kittle. It's Nick Bosa. It is, oh no, I'm forgetting the third guy.
Trent Williams?
No, not even Trent Williams. It's Fred Warner and then the punter, Mitch Wisnowski. 4 guys from that Super Bowl, the first one they lost to the Chiefs. But, and I don't know. I think that there's something where it weighs on Kyle Shanahan. I just really do think that there's an Andy Reid parallel where it's like there's going to be a slow death to the Shanahan era over 3 or 4 years. And I think there's going to have to be a separation. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Because like what satisfies you? Like a wild card win? Like, I don't know. I think they're going to get further. But I mean, Purdy's going to get like $250 million.
Wild.
It's bleak. They're entering that no man's land position, which is the hardest to be in, I think, as an NFL fan.
How high are we going to rank Juwan Jennings next year? That is the question I have now.
I do love Juwan Jennings.
I think Pearsall's the guy. I mean,
I think Jennings is going to outscore Pearsall.
I think they're both really good values. Like, I almost think that a small part of me wants to pretend their names are Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, could just rank them. And then, you know what I mean?
Right.
We just
Jennings was quietly one of the most consistent, underrated receivers in the league last year and was like their third down go-to guy they could always depend on.
Yeah.
Third and Juwan.
The Denver side, anything else on the Niners? And Brock Purdy eventually going to get $250 million.
What's up with Christian McCaffrey?
Achilles
Another big
tendonitis.
question.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
He's got no working legs.
He's got the rot. Denver side of this, I mean, just getting a Fonga and Greenlaw. Yeah, I know. Just getting a Fonga and Greenlaw, they're just literally taking the Niners' good injured defenders because it's like Greenlaw had the Achilles thing and Ufanga, he was actually an all-pro in 2022. He's like the Puka Nacua of defense where he's a fifth rounder because he's 40 time was slow. And then he got drafted. Everyone's like, oh, damn, he's really good. We should have took him. First team all-pro 2022, towards ACL 2023. And then now he's on the Broncos. If Ufanga and Greenlaw are healthy, like that's pretty incredible for Denver. Like we'll just see.
It feels like things are moving in the right direction in Denver. Doesn't it feel like every year?
Yeah.
It's like Sean Payton is his vision is coalescing and this team is kind of like getting in a better spot every year.
The other one here, Bills sign Joey Bosa, pass rusher from the Chargers. So the Bills cut Von Miller and signed Joey Bosa. And honestly, it's like the same thing. Like the Bills, the whole thing, the reason the Bills got Von Miller was to be like their closer, like limited snaps, pass rusher. Please just stay healthy through the regular season, close games out for us in the playoffs. Honestly, Von Miller thing kind of cost them maybe a Super Bowl. And now they're just doing this with Joey Bosa again.
This is weird. This has a weird vibe to it. I don't know why.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It's just weird that Joey Bosa is now like released and on the Buffalo Bills. Like it felt like not very long ago he was an absolutely elite player. I know that he's just been hurt a lot, but
we said these. I mean, his groin, like he
yeah.
I think he's played 16 games in like 3 years.
Yeah.
He's just never held, and he leaves games early. I was at the Rams joint practice when he hurt his hand on like the last play of the practice. Like it was terrible luck. Like,
but do you think it's more likely that this is looked back on as a mistake that didn't work out, or a steal, and this guy's 29 years old and physically one of the more gifted people as that's a pass rusher?
Probably the former. Like, I don't know. He's kind of like Drake London to me. It's like, what's your favorite Joey Bosa memory?
But Drake London's good.
I don't think it'll end up
Drake
looking...
London, it's true. Drake London then got good as soon as I said that. Like, I don't know. Joey Bosa, this is Bills fans are going to be mad at me, but I look back at the Von Miller trade. They gave up a second round pick to Denver for Von Miller. They used the pick on Nick Bonito. And then Nick Bonito for Denver was third in sacks this year behind Myles Garrett. And
these sliding doors
Trey
things
Hendrickson.
are hard. They're hard to take.
It's a tough beat for the older brothers out there. We were talking on the phone last night. We kept getting Nick and Joey confused. We like literally on the text we sent, we had it as Nick Bosa was on the Bills, even though it's Joey Bosa.
Right.
Usually the older brother always wins. Chris Hemsworth, James Franco, although he's in a tough spot right now, but in terms of fame, Ben Affleck, it's like always the older brother. Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I also he's the third pick in the NFL draft, and he's just like his brother's brother. Like it's kind of weird. I also have a crazy thing I think we've alluded to, but I actually went there and tracked it down. Honestly, Joey Bosa is super boring. Who cares? Can I tell you guys something? I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to read from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Okay.
Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa's great grandfather was Al Capone's bodyguard.
Whoa.
Right. There's like some mob connections here.
So we had alluded to this, and then I was afraid that I would get murdered. And
be
I actually
careful
found
what you
the
say
reporting.
about this guy.
I'm just going to read from the San Francisco Chronicle. Nick Bosa's great-grandfather was Tony Accardo, who took over as a mob boss from Al Capone in 1943. He lived in a 22-room mansion in Illinois with 2 bowling alleys and a pool in the basement. And
People
he
loved having indoor bowling alleys back then. That was like a thing you did when you were rich.
Like we got all this space. What do we
it's like,
put
what
in
are we
here?
gonna like? What's the coolest thing we can think of? Put a fucking bowling alley in the basement.
Would you rather have a pool or a bowling alley?
A fucking pool.
A pool.
A bowling alley. How often are you like, man, I wish I could bowl right now, but there's not one in my house.
More specifically, I wish I could bowl at my house.
With a bunch of women at 1 in the morning.
I'd rather have than a bowling alley in my house.
Like half of the fun of going bowling, or like 75% of the fun of going bowling, is like leaving your home to do something.
Yeah.
It's like I need to leave my home. What can we do? Well, we'll go bowling.
Also, he had a bathtub carved out of black onyx stone. And then, so their
That's
great-grandfather, he caught the attention of Al Capone for his cruelty with a baseball bat, earning the nickname Joey Batters.
Whoa.
Christ.
I wonder if he's been in, like, if there have been characters in like Scorsese movies based off this guy. Probably, right?
Probably.
You guys
Joey
didn't think that
Bats.
was as interesting as I thought you would.
I thought it was really interesting.
Heifetz, I'm just trying to be careful about what I say.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
gave it a big resounding wow.
I value my kneecaps.
I just think it's crazy that like Al Capone's like successor to running the Chicago Mafia is just like, I don't know. He just
Isn't there, Heifetz, there's a mob connection to the Cardinals? The Arizona Cardinals?
Cardinals, Michael Bidwell, who owns the Cardinals, his father or grandfather, whoever bought the team, ran Al Capone's racetrack in Chicago. And then they bought it on a boat for $5,000 in cash, which I don't know what that means.
That's sick. I got to go back. Have you guys ever seen the Untouchables? That movie's about where De Niro plays Al Capone. I actually think there is a baseball bat in that. Again, not that that's that
Joey Batters.
Joe, but maybe there was a Joey Batters reference in there.
Yeah. Joey
Probably.
Bosa, not even the most violent Joey in his own family.
Guys, Russell Wilson is scheduled to fly to Cleveland to visit with the Browns on
Stop.
Thursday. Oh, boy. According to Adam Schefter.
I will say, the Russ thing, I thought Kirk Cousins was going to go to Cleveland. I'm worried that I was wrong about the Falcons cutting Kirk Cousins too.
He might just hang out.
That's what I'm saying. Their whole point is that they want to have two quarterbacks.
I also was wrong about the money, and some people misreported it. And I won't say anyone, but like basically, well, but also I should have dove deeper and got it wrong. But basically, I thought they were had to pay him $10 million in cash on St. Patrick's Day. That's not what it is. It locks in his 2026 bonus to guaranteed money next year, which is, long story short, the difference is they don't have to cut him because they're not actually going to end up paying him the money, because basically they could cut him. They're going to have to pay him $27 million this year, whether Kirk Cousins plays for Atlanta or not. And I was like, well, why would they do him the extra $10 million? But if it's next year, they could cut him next year and a different team will pay him the $10 million.
He has kind of asked the team for a trade or a release, though, hasn't he?
Well,
Like, he
that's the
wants
thing
to
is,
play.
I think someone might have to trade. I actually think because I was like, oh, the Giants get Kirk Cousins for $1 million. I'm like, no, I think the Giants might have to trade a fifth round pick to get him for $27 million. So I think that's why Russell Wilson might be going to Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, he's going to Cleveland, for the record. The full tweet is he's going to Cleveland and then he's going to New York the same day.
Do you think he's just going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Or he's going to the Browns?
Sure. I think he's just trying to squeeze a little bit more money out of the Giants, probably.
Dude, honestly, Russell Wilson doesn't make me feel a fraction as bad as Rodgers, because Rodgers I genuinely would talk myself into and think that I would have hope. Like, I would actually think the Giants would make the playoffs eventually, and I would root for him. Russ, I'm going to keep like a low.
Because right now there are Titans, Giants, Steelers, Browns are the only four teams that like technically don't really have a starting quarterback, right?
Titans, Giants, Steelers, Browns. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Ward, and Shador. Theoretically, those are going to be the four. It's just
like the musical chairs or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want
It's
Dude, the Giants are so. And also, it's just like other sports are failing me. The Knicks haven't beaten any of the good NBA teams to even let yourself pretend they could do anything in the playoffs. Yankees lost Garrett Cole to Tommy John.
Poor Yankees fan. Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Tommy John, literally, like, Tommy John is just the weirdest injury, because it's like, yeah, he'll be back in like 2 years. I'm like, 2 years? Are they going to be alive in 2 years?
I think guys should just start getting the surgery before they even go pro. It's like every pitcher goes through. You have to get it out of the way almost.
Yeah, just do that instead of going to college. Just get your Tommy John.
Just get your Tommy John.
I mean,
Maybe everyone should
surgery is
just
like
start
thousands of
throwing
years old.
slower, Craig.
I like a week or two ago, the Knicks were playing the Warriors, and I think they were up like 10 at halftime, and Heifetz texted me some snarky brag, and then the Warriors won, and he was like, whatever, March Madness is starting soon.
Dude, it was the most predictable thing ever.
Can't be fucking.
I wasn't even watching. I don't even know what I was doing. I was like, the Warriors won. He's like, whatever, fuck you.
It's like a tick. He just like has to talk shit if he has the opportunity.
Oh, please. You didn't even know who won our fucking fantasy league because I don't talk shit. You didn't even know who won the league.
Oh, please. Now I know.
Because you were asked. You didn't even know. And then I was so mad you didn't. That's the thing. It's infuriating to win a league, be polite about it, and then no one remember who won last year. No one remembers.
This is it is it's an absolute conundrum.
God, I have the most
no
mediocre.
one likes when you brag about winning a league. It's the most annoying thing ever. But also, no one knows.
No one
one
remembers.
knows you won the league if you don't do it.
Especially because the teams tanking don't give a shit. Like they're just
Yeah.
like in their own world,
They're
like
tuned out.
scouting draft prospects in 2028.
They went about living their life.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm gonna try to do the Ted Lasso thing and be curious, not judgmental, because they went.
Barbecue sauce.
I think we need a Ted Lasso jar. If I'm the Warriors, I think Heifetz is Ted Lasso.
You want to compare how much I bring up Ted Lasso to how much you bring up the Warriors?
It's more than you think.
Is it really?
Yeah. I want the listeners to weigh in because this man.
DK,
I can't remember, to be
you're
honest.
impartial. Do you think he brings up the Warriors on the same level that I
No,
bring
not
up
the
Ted
same
Lasso?
level.
No,
but I
definitely
think
not.
there is a threshold that you have crossed. There's a minimum velocity you have reached of Ted Lasso references.
You did bring up the cookies the other day.
Yeah, you talked about
Yeah.
and then you did the dart thing as well. You
Well,
always
this is
bring
the
them
dart
up.
thing. This is the dart thing.
No, he brought up the dart thing on a previous show, like recently.
Well, the curious, not judgmental, is dart. The
I
dart
know that's
scene.
right now, but I'm saying an episode or two ago, he talked about the whole dart thing,
He's obsessed with these darts.
and he used the other hand.
It is
and
a
whatever.
great. I feel like I'm more on Heifetz's side on this because I love Ted Lasso.
That he
Warriors
can-
all the
look,
time.
why does that matter? You can love the Warriors. My whole point is that he brings it up a lot.
You're
Okay,
closer to
that's fair.
Bill with the Celtics than with the Warriors than you're closer to me with Ted Lasso.
Well, mine is like a generational franchise in Dynasty, and yours is a random show. So.
Wait, what's my
Ran-
thing? If Heifetz's thing is Ted Lasso, do I have a thing?
Quesadillas?
It's probably quoting movies you guys have never seen, and then I get like random ghosts telling me they heard what I said, and Heifetz and Craig didn't get it. I think I get one of those like once a show.
What does DK bring up a lot? I don't know. He's
DK, no,
pretty balanced.
DK. I don't think it's stuff DK brings up.
I don't want to know what it is, to be honest.
I think
Yeah,
you're
let's
pretty
not tell him.
balanced.
Okay,
You're perfect.
probably just the Seahawks, like something stupid like that.
It's why you work, because Heifetz and I are always bringing up the same annoying shit, and then you're just like Mr. Easygoing in the middle, having a great time.
Anyway, we could do a jar, but I Heifetz, for the record, I like the Ted Lasso quotes.
Again, that's not what this is about. I
By
can.
the way, Austin's in the chat just saying yes, yes, yes.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. No.
I could make a great Steph
No.
Curry point. That's not
No
the point,
fucking
though.
way. No fucking way. Craig hates Ted Lasso the show, and Austin hates Ted Lasso the show. They just don't like when I bring up Ted Lasso. That is that's what Austin's talking about. That's different than I bring it up all the time. He just hates the fucking show.
Look, Austin just texted us. You bring it up once a week. I believe that. You bring up Ted Lasso a lot.
I will do a Ted Lasso audit, and I will check. But also,
It's fine. Just put a money in the jar and move on
I
with your
like.
life. It's great.
I didn't mind Ted Lasso season 1. Just when everybody started calling it the greatest television show of all time, I kind of backed off.
It's just comfort food. It's fine.
I'm not even. Yeah, I didn't even watch it till later. I'm mostly just blown.
Heifetz, we all like the Ted Lasso stuff. So keep going. Keep
I'm
doing
just
it.
blown away that it could get compared to the Warriors thing because
I'm not saying you mentioned Ted Lasso as much as I mentioned the Warriors. All I'm saying is I think there's a minimum jar threshold that you've reached with Ted Lasso.
Like
I feel
the
like
show.
I'm at the high end of the threshold, but you have still passed it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I love this. This is funny.
Anyway, fuck Ted Lasso. I'll just.
I like it when I'm not the one fighting.
Also, we have no jar. Like there are no jars. There should be a jar behind.
like a
me.
We should have a
theoretical
Venmo.
jar.
We should have a Venmo that's a jar.
I have to Venmo you
That's
guys
actually
$1.
a great idea.
Yeah, a Venmo's a jar.
It's like a beer. It's like a beer fund, and we
Yeah,
just
email-
pay
email us at
$1
ringerfantasyfootball.
to the jar.
Emails at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for what you think our jars should be. I think Craig's the Warriors. I feel like there are way other
yeah.
and more annoying things I do than Ted Lasso, but maybe I should stick to Ted Lasso for my jar.
It's also funny because you mention these quotes as though everybody knows them. You know, it's like some season 3 quote, and I'm like, who's? No one,
Well, that's why I say, as they say in Ted Lasso, and then I explain the seed.
But still, I think that's a harder connection for anybody to make because they don't have a reference point. Meet like a famous basketball team with a famous player. To me, is like, oh, that's a reference people can connect to.
Troy brings up Heifetz also mispronounces words. That's
I was
kind
going
of
to say
his
that
thing.
happens like way more.
I also
But
do
that's
it.
not on
Definitely be
purpose. That's not on
mispronouncing
purpose. I don't think you should get jarred for doing something on accident. But
Well, it's actually by accident, so that's kind of meta.
Got ya.
Anyway, fine. Fuck Ted Lasso. I'm just going to judge the shit out of the Jaguars. Fuck being curious. I think the Jaguars had the weirdest fucking...
After all that, he just changes his
Fuck
mind.
them. I just think the weirdest free agency moves I've ever seen. I
I think
ever,
De'Ami Brown was the weirdest signing. in all
De'Ami
of free
Brown-
agency.
I can't overstate how weird this was. Dyami Brown's a receiver for Washington. Jaguars paid him a 1 year contract for $10 million. Just start with the $10 million. Dyami Brown had 300 receiving yards last year. Like 300 yards. They give him $10 million. Brian Thomas Jr. had more receiving yards after week 7 than Dyami Brown has had in his entire career. And Dyami Brown now makes more money than Brian Thomas Jr. Like, that's kind of insane. And then on top of it, if you're like, well, he's 25 years old, Dyami Brown. We liked him in December. We'll project him forward. He's a young, developing talent. Why the fuck is it a 1 year deal?
You don't have to give him $10 million either for that.
Why would you give him a 1 year deal?
Yeah, who are you competing against? Who are you negotiating
That's what I want
against?
to know.
I don't know. And it's like, so part of me is like, did they copy and paste? Because James Doogie Howser, the Jaguars GM, James Gladstone, came from the Rams. It's like the same deal they gave Tutu Atwell, 1 year, $10 million. Was it copy pasted? I don't understand. But again, this guy's 34 years old. I genuinely am wondering if they just took Trent Baalke's work because, I mean, this guy was hired 2.5 weeks ago. Trent Baalke, like, they have all this pro personnel. What are you going to do? Overhaul your entire, like, they all have the same people working there. They haven't hired a new scouting staff. It's the same scouting staff. And I'm like, you walk into this office and you have two options. Tell everyone that's been working on their pro personnel board for months, like, I'm not going to use any of that. Or you kind of look at it and you're like, man, do I really want to do a whole new one of these in like 2 weeks? And they just looked at the board and they're like, screw it. I'll pay these guys. It doesn't make any sense.
If you guys had to guess, and you can just ballpark it, where 308 yards receiving ranks among just receivers in the NFL last year, where would you say?
32 teams. I think 3 guys hit that on every team.
81st.
I think probably 120th, 130th.
You guys, you're dialing in on it. It was 98th. 98th among all just receivers. That doesn't even include tight ends.
Hi, Vince, you're glad.
I'm going to add tight ends to see what it is here.
That's like a George Costanza bit where like he shows up to the office and realizes he has no ideas and finds the binder of the person that came before him and just uses all of his ideas.
Yeah. And I'm not even, but like,
if you include tight ends, it's 134th. Dawson Knox had more yards than him.
That's crazy.
Jatavian Sanders, Greg Dortch, David Moore, Matt Collins,
Greg
Parker Washington.
Parker Washington's on the Jaguars.
Strange.
Parker Washington's on the Jaguars. You could have just kept him.
Foster Moreau, Kevontae Turpin, Noah Gray. There's some insane.
If you believe in the talent, why would you pay a 25? Like, you pay 1 year, $10 million for production. If it's a 25-year-old with no track record of production, why would it be a 1 year deal? It just doesn't make any sense. And to your point, Craig, there's a reason teams don't fire their GMs as late as the Jaguars did, because there's all this work you have to do the job. And so that's why teams actually fire guys after the draft, because the GM's job restarts in May when you have to start scouting next year's class, and next year's free agent class, and next year's draft picks. So I do think there's something, the idea of you're going to walk in and just do the whole board again and just re-scout all these guys. I don't know. Jordan Lewis to the Jaguars, the cornerback, they gave him $20 million fully guaranteed to a 30-year-old slot cornerback in his man coverage. He's 30 years old. He has the most guaranteed money of any 30-year-old cornerback in the NFL. Why would you do that? The cornerbacks age like milk.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Why would you do that?
The Jags are the Jags should just like be like a Globetrotters WWE team, and they just like go around and it's a show. You know, they already got the Khan family involved.
Yeah,
don't even be a real team.
Speaking of the Jags, we got another live signing here. The Broncos are signing Evan Ingram to a 2-year deal, according to Adam Schefter.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
The Broncos, once again, I'm kind of liking what they're doing.
So is he Jimmy
which
Graham,
makes me feel some kind of way.
And a lot of people were projecting Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan, to
so
Sean
that makes
Payton
sense.
in Denver, right?
Honestly, Evan Ingram's kind of like if Jimmy Graham couldn't do the contested catch thing. I guess that was Jimmy Graham's whole thing. But I do think he does that kind of.
Evan Ingram is his Marcus Colston, or Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Sean Payton always talks about having a joker, just guys that you can kind of move around the formation and create mismatches with. And I think that's probably going to be the role that Evan Ingram plays.
I like Evan Ingram.
I do too. Heifetz doesn't. Heifetz hates him.
No, I didn't. I was just mad because he dropped a crucial catch against the Eagles in Thursday Night Football 5 years ago. Overall, though, Evan Ingram's a reminder of like how many tight ends end up good for their team, even if they end up good.
That's
so many
the
tight
thing,
ends
Heifetz. Yeah,
feel like they end up better somewhere else. I don't know. It's.
Well, Michael Mayer is on the trade block right now. I'm actually really interested to see where he ends up.
Somebody should gobble him up.
He seems like a great trade target right now.
Let's gobble him up.
He was like the second or third pick of the second round a couple of years ago. Really good player. And obviously with Bowers now, they don't really need, a backup tight end or whatever, a second tight end of that caliber. So getting something from it now makes sense.
I know, go to the Chargers or something.
Craig, who do you think should gobble up Michael Mayer?
Gobble that up.
Gobble up.
Dude, tons of Chargers. Get him with Justin Herbert. Get him on that. He can block a little bit too, right? DK, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a true wide tight end.
Yeah.
I think I think because he had that weird. He was like on the non-football injury list. He just didn't play for a long time. I don't know what's going on. There's some kind of situation there. I don't know if it's personal or what, but like he was basically on the non-football injury list, and there was like no injury. So like no one, we don't really.
And we never really got reporting on what happened.
So sometimes people just need a fresh start.
News.
It's like, oh,
well, no, it's just like the Rams have officially released Cooper Kupp.
Well, where do you want him to land other than the Steelers? Because I think the Steelers make sense, I guess, but
the Chargers
for fantasy and for Cooper Kupp resurgence, like an actual chance for him to get
just for fantasy or like on a good team where they're actually good and winning.
No, just for fantasy.
I feel like he has to be on the team where he's not like the number one guy.
Honestly, like Dallas.
I mean, the Patriots just need a receiver. Just get a receiver.
If I were the Patriots, I actually would sign Cooper Kupp, and here's why. The same way that Cooper Kupp mentored Puka Nacua and was like, hey there, young buck, maybe instead of like eating Jack in the Box and Wendy's on the way to practice every day, like how about you come to my house at 6 a.m, run till you throw up, and then we'll like eat kale and then go to practice. I honestly would bring Cooper Kupp solely to see if the Patriots, like young receivers who didn't do shit last year, can, with the new regime, just be professionalized. Like I would almost look at Cooper Kupp as a very highly paid position coach / trainer / nutritionist who will just like take your young and like Javon Baker for the Pats was he did nothing. Like Jalen Polk did nothing for the Pats, and I would almost bring him in just to like see if he could help those guys.
The Raiders? Let Geno cook? I don't know. There's actually a lot of teams I think that would make sense for Cooper Kupp right now. I don't have like a ton of faith that he's going to come back and be
Seattle?
Anything close to what he was before. There's people talking about Seattle. That's one team that's in the rumor mill right now.
Do you think Cooper Kupp could beat out Cody White for the Seahawks third receiver job?
I don't know, man. It's tough. Yeah, I would be super stoked if Cooper Kupp came to Seahawks. You have to temper expectations, but I would be stoked.
Him and MVS would be a problem.
I think it's the issue though is JSN is kind of, he's a slot guy. He's kind of in a similar role, I guess, than Cooper Kupp. Although I'm sure they could figure it out. Maybe
Cooper Kupp will just beat him out.
Doesn't solve anything.
Should we like put that on Instagram and just be like Marquez Valdez-Scantling in Seattle is going to be like a problem with the Steve emoji?
It's going to be a problem.
Vikings, I mean, they let Sam Darnold go. They let Daniel Jones go. So, I mean, I feel like J.J. McCarthy's just healthy and we should just expect him to be the starting quarterback in Minnesota, which I know was obvious, but also there was all this stuff that he lost like 20 or 30 pounds during his recovery, which is normal, but also concerning for someone that hasn't played in the NFL really yet. But I actually kind of like what they did. I don't know. I like Jonathan Allen. They signed him at defensive tackle for like a lot of money, but I kind of like that a lot. I kind of weirdly think
just a good player.
Yeah. And then Will Fries in the Colts, which is like a funny name. But
Seahawks fans are absolutely apoplectic right now that they didn't get Will Fries. That's the state of the Seahawks right now. Will Fries is what sent them over the top. Just to give you a glimpse into Seahawks fandom right now. The Seahawks just desperately need offensive linemen. So,
yeah, join the club. Welcome to the party, pal. The Giants signed Javon Holland, the safety from Miami. DK, you said you like this move, and I'm going to make you say something nice about the Giants.
I mean, look. 2 years ago, he was an elite safety. Last year, he definitely had a down year, but this is the type of thing that's happened sometimes where, I don't know, whatever it is, nagging injuries, or maybe there's something going on in his personal life. I still think he's a good player. And so I think this is a smart gamble to take him and see if you can like get him going back to where he was. So I don't know. I don't have like a huge take on Javon Holland, but like 2 years ago, he was really good.
I have a theory, and I might be wrong and just be a fan who's talked myself into this. But my theory is basically, so Miami, they hired Anthony Weaver, who's the defensive line coach for Baltimore, and then he's the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins last year. And the not on Anthony Weaver, but in general, defensive line coaches have a struggle to become defensive coordinators for similar reason. Running back coaches have a similar issue to be offensive coordinators, where can defensive line coaches see enough of the holistic passing game to run the entire defense, similar with running back coaches in the whole passing game. And whether that's fair or not, that's like the knock. Zooming all the way out, I see Javon Holland being incredible at 24 years old in Miami in 2023 under Vic Fangio. And then a defensive line coach comes in and suddenly Javon Holland has the worst season of his career.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything about Anthony Weaver, and maybe Anthony Weaver's a great coach, but part of me is just like, I kind of think that might be related. I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't the right fit for him. Yeah. I think this is exactly what I'm saying. Is like, if you can try and recreate whatever that magic and that lightning in a ball that you captured 2 years ago, where he was again like one of the top safeties according to PFF's grading, and he was just all over the place, and then he fell off the map last year. Maybe, I don't know.
So DK, my underrated thing, in addition to being mad about losing Saquon, was the Giants lost Xavier McKinney,
right?
Who was a safety they drafted and then made a captain, and he was the defensive play caller as a safety. And then the Giants just let him go to the Packers. How much better or worse do you think Javon Holland is than Xavier McKinney?
I mean, I don't know. I think McKinney's a really good player, so I think probably McKinney's better. But if they can get Holland back to what he was before, you have some semblance of the same deal.
I mean, betting on a 25-year-old
guy.
Betting on a 25-year-old guy who you've already seen be very productive in the NFL, I feel like is a solid bet.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise, just offensive line stuff. I just feel like this is the Mitch Hedberg logs joke of just, well, they need logs and they need logs.
If people miss this, Mitch Hedberg has a joke where it's basically like, I saw 2 log trucks pass each other on the highway the other day. And I thought to myself, well, if they need logs, and if they need logs, you think a phone call would have saved a lot of trouble. I think my joke is that this is what you get with kickers. There's no fucking difference between any kicker. All kickers are the same. They're going to make a lot of their kicks, and that's it. Sometimes they don't.
Say Mitch Hedberg? Isn't that Brian Regan?
Sorry, did I say Mitch Hedberg? Yeah,
I said
Brian
Mitch
Regan.
Hedberg.
Yeah. Brian Regan.
And then I was wrong. I actually said Brian Regan. I just mispronounced it.
I do quote Mitch Hedberg a lot too, Hivitz, for the record. I don't know if it's quite the same with offensive linemen, but you could probably make the argument with like old offensive linemen.
I think that it's not, but it feels that way. I think that's the truth. It's like, it's not that way with offensive linemen, but as a fan, it kind of feels that way. Like, your team signed a lineman, sick, he's going to be awesome. It's like, you don't know. It's, you just hope.
How many people are like offensive line gurus and all that? Yeah.
It's like the Giants signed John Runyon Jr. last year, and I'm like, fuck, all right, whatever. Hope.
See, this is what I'm talking about with Will Fries.
Yeah, Will Fries. People are like,
Teams
this is who he is.
I know. Teams
fans are just like
logs.
So depressed.
That's
I wanted
so
Will
true.
Fries.
Fans will take any offensive lineman and treat it as positive news. They have no idea who the fuck they are.
Dude,
How good they are.
No, it's ridiculous.
Drew Dahlman.
Honestly, it's like Love is Blind. They don't know anything about these people. But so the Texans, they demolished their offensive line. We talked about how they traded Laramie Tunsil to Washington for a second, and then they traded Kenyon Green, who was the first-round pick for Houston, to the Eagles for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I mean, I did this rant on Bill. I think that's actually why the Eagles stay really good, is they just keep swinging on other teams' failed first-round offensive linemen and are just like, hey, Jeff Stoutland, you can fix this. And they just have the best offensive line coach in the entire NFL. And the same way they took Mekhi Becton, who basically left the Jets and was the first-round pick, and they just started him at right guard. He was incredible. And then just put Kenyon Green at right guard, and they're going to fix him.
Because if you're a first-round pick, that usually means that you have like the physical tools. You have like the spark score, all that stuff is there. It's just like didn't all work on whatever team you're on. And then a good team snatching up those guys who are super raw and talented and then molding them under their infrastructure that is proven like the Eagles have. It makes a ton of sense. It happens in every sport.
This is the game within the game. This is the really nerdy thing that I think Howie Roseman's better at than everyone, is like the game within the game is they are just taking what was 2 or 3 years ago, a first round pick, someone that was impossible to acquire, getting them for even cheaper than they were earlier, but still, he's like 23 years old. Kenyon Green's like 23 years old. And like they now have the chance to just make like a first round starting guard for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who he's the guy who the receivers keep punching in the face, even though he's wearing a helmet. Like, he's the most annoying player. He's literally the single most annoying player in the NFL. Like, literally, I know someone.
He's a habitual, line stepper. He's
he can't
constantly like.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Yeah. He can't shut up. Like, he can't stay in the same team for 2 or 3 years. Like, literally, everyone gets sick of him. So the Eagles got rid of this guy.
I think that line was improvised, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was. And that sound, certainly.
Hey, do you want to know the most annoying sound in the world?
Guys.
He almost shoots him. Oh God, I love
But yeah,
that
these
movie.
picks, these like picks that haven't worked out, going to the Eagles and then working is like a bad actor who works with a good director and a good script, and then it works. It's like Michael Madsen in every Tarantino movie. That guy hasn't worked in any other movie, but he's in Kill Bill and Reservoir Dogs and Hateful Eight, and you're like, this guy's kind of killing it, and you realize he has no career outside of Tarantino movies.
That's really good comp. Like I know that maybe it sounds really nerdy to talk about Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles run game coordinator, but I'm like, we almost don't talk enough about like Jordan Mailata, their their left tackle for the Eagles, was a 7th round pick who had like never played football.
Yeah.
He's from Australia. Or, sorry, I don't want to get that wrong for the Australian listeners. New South Wales, Australia, which I think is Australia. I don't know. I assume.
I think it's like a not state, but
I don't know. But he's
whatever they're called.
He's from the other side of the world and had not played. He played rugby, and he's just like a top 6 left tackle in the NFL. They just taught him to play football.
It's like, have you
No, it is
you
a
guys
state.
ever
They
seen
do call them states there. All right.
State? Have you guys ever seen Sylvester Stallone in the movie Copland? He's great in it. Great actor in that movie. Directed by James
I like
Mangold.
Southland though, the TV show. But
I remember that. It was about South Central LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Copland is an awesome movie. James Mangold. It's the same dude who directed the Bob Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet. It's a good movie about like a little town in the politics with like the police. Great Stallone, Edie Falco, De Niro.
What are your top 5 movies you've seen on the rewatchables because of the rewatchables that you're like, I would recommend other people?
The Big Chill, I love. It's a movie from the 80s about a bunch of 30-year-olds who get together at a lake house after their friend dies. That movie's awesome. I had never seen A League of Their Own. Copland, I loved. There's a lot of like random 80s movies or 90s movies like Disclosure that are really fun and like just could never exist today.
Disclosure.
With Demi Moore, you know?
Uh-huh.
Is Disclosure a John Grisham book? Wait.
I'm not sure.
I just, whenever I hear that word, I think about my cousin Vinny. She's like, it's called Disclosure, you dickhead.
No, it's no. I was thinking of like how there's a bunch of Grisham movies like The Firm and.
Ooh, you know what's one I loved is Risky Business. I had never seen with Cruise. That movie's fucking awesome. Nobody's seen that.
Sorry to hang on this, but Disclosure was written by Michael Crichton, who also wrote
Crichton.
Jurassic Park and Westworld, baby.
Anyway, continue.
Michael Douglas is one of those faces where I'm like, I don't understand why he's hot. Why was he like a sexy actor?
Well, I don't know. When you watch him, I get it. If you watch like, I don't know, Romancing the Stone, I think you're like, I get it.
Okay. He's in the category of how men don't know what women want a man to look like. Like men think, there's no hair, everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Pete Davidson thing will forever elude me.
There's a certain je ne sais quoi, if you will.
Okay. Any other free agency stuff you guys want to do, or can I read the emails about parents lying to their children? Any other free agent stuff that tickles your fancy?
No, let's do the lying.
I called this one a gusher, and you guys got really mad at me. But it's like when there's an email prompt, and then I open it and I see like 100. I'm like, okay, this is
a gusher.
We got a gusher.
Okay.
That doesn't rub me the right way.
It's an oil. Oh well,
I understand.
Craig, phrasing.
It's an oil thing. You hit the glory hole, you get a gusher.
I thought he was saying like a geyser, which is like the pressurized water, but he's right. Gusher is an oil discovery. So
yeah, just watch some Landman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Again,
I can't enter the Sheridan universe. I don't have.
Also, if you're like listening right now with your children, you can stop. Although I assume I don't know if anyone's listening to this with like their 3-year-old child, but I wouldn't let young children listen to this.
Don't let them in on the lie, the conspiracy.
We're gonna talk about all these lies, but So anyway, Craig and I were so tickled by the fact that DK just told Calvin that the Paw Patrol machine is broken and he can't watch it anymore. That we just were like, email us your other stories about things you lie to your children to make your day-to-day life easier.
I'm so excited.
I can't tell you how many we got. I'm so thrilled to go through these. I'm just
rip through them. I want to get through as many as we can.
All right. Can you guys be ready when I read the name to be like, Matthew,
Yeah.
All right. This one's from Matthew.
Matt.
There's a toy store in the center of town that we pass by every time we walk with our son. So when he was 4 years old, we told him that it was a looking store and that nothing in there was actually for sale.
Genius.
Smart.
Lisa.
Savvy. Lisa.
When our toddler wants to watch a show like Coco Melon for the 800th time, but we don't want to watch Coco Melon for the 800th time, we just tell her all the characters are sleeping.
Oh,
that's actually nice. I like that.
This one's from Christian.
Christian. Sorry, I screwed up.
It's all right. I forgive you. When my kids go to Wisconsin to visit their grandparents.
Very Christian of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When my kids go to Wisconsin to visit their
Sorry.
grandparents, they always buy them Lucky Charms. We live in San Diego, so I just told my kids they don't sell Lucky Charms in San Diego.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Regional difference.
Which
Totally.
a lot
Also,
of
it makes
people do.
visiting the grandparents more fun then.
Uh-huh.
Which I love that email because now we got one from Joseph
Joey.
Joe.
who said, I paused your last podcast as soon as it got brought up about lies with kids. I called my mom, asked her if she told me any lies.
Oh, no.
And then I realized that when I was 6, she told me they don't sell Cocoa Pebbles in California. And this guy realized that at like 40 years old that was a lie.
Wow.
That's just like my mom saying I was allergic to dark colored soda, you know?
Yeah.
Look, they're worried about the sugar intake of their children.
This one's from Sanoop.
Sanoop. Dog.
He said, I got my daughter to root against Green Bay because I told her the Packers hurt Elsa.
Oh, Jesus.
Man, that's specific.
They were mean to Elsa.
That's good.
And then also anything he wants his daughter to eat, Elsa's favorite food is that food.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, God. I might use that. Calvin's really into Pokemon right now, and I'm going to be like, this is Charizard.
Charizard's Brussels
What was the one you said the other day, Craig? People were mad I didn't know that one. Garbu?
Gyarados.
Gyarados. People were like, you're a liar. You're 30. You know Gyarados. And I was like, I can't be clear.
I
My
was
mom didn't give me
shocked.
cards.
I mean, he's
Wait.
like a famous Pokemon. I'm shocked.
They were saying Heifetz was a liar for not knowing it.
yeah.
They were saying like, you don't have to pretend that you're cool by not knowing it.
Don't
And I
have to
was like,
pretend
be
to
clear,
hang out. Yeah.
my story was that I read fantasy football magazines alone. Like, I don't think there's anything cool about that.
Look at you now.
But even when you were like 8 or 9, you were reading fantasy magazines?
That's what I'm saying. When I was 8, like, yeah, I had a fucking magazine alone.
So
because I
was
didn't
your
have any
generation
Gyarados
the
cards.
first Pokemon generation? Because I feel like it didn't really hit my generation.
Depends how you define generation, but we're
I'm not
early.
familiar enough with like the boom of Pokemon to answer that,
Right.
but I know it was popular when I was young.
I think it's exactly halfway between us. You're 12 years older. I think it's like probably like I think Craig's brother and my brother, like 34-ish.
1996 to present, it says.
Yeah, right. So if it started in 96, I was 2. So my brother was 6.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I didn't have any Pokemon
I was in
cards.
high
Also,
school.
Mom, if you're listening to this, like, why the fuck wouldn't you buy me the Pokemon cards?
I know. What's wrong with Pokemon cards?
I don't know.
Maybe she just wanted you to do something outside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, damn, can you imagine how sick it would be, though, if I could have had a Pokemon podcast?
Imagine if you had a level 100 Gyarados.
Ugh. Damn, if we get into Pokemon. Imagine if I just get into that. Okay, this one's from Adam.
Adam.
We've told our son candy, soda, and juice all contain sugar bugs. So once you have too many sugar bugs in your mouth, they eat your face.
Oh my God.
So many of these are about limiting sugar. I love
Yeah.
it.
Eating your
They
face?
eat
They're
your
going to
face
eat your
and
face?
have-
That's
and your
horrifying. They're
teeth.
going to have nightmares.
This one's from Rob.
Robbie.
It's illegal to have a light on in the car at night.
Illegal. I like that.
Which I think that's the most common one.
Dude,
I
you
wanna
know
do
what?
The legal thing.
That my parents definitely told me that there was a
Yeah.
whole, I just now remember like driving to my grandparents' house as a kid, and if my brother or I put the fucking roof light on in the car, they'd freak out. Turn that off. You can't do that. I don't know. I never understood why they cared. Now I don't give it. If I was driving, that doesn't bother me at all.
Well, you
met
can't see
people
out of
in
the windows
college-
very well.
I know it's like there's glare, but it's like all right,
Yeah.
relax.
Well, no, because it kills the car battery. That's the
Not
number
while
one.
you're driving.
While you're driving, if you left it on when you
No,
were
but
parked
if
for
you
3
no, but you
hours-
don't check when you like get out of the car. Like it's easy to like if you open the door, the lights are on. So if the kids hit the light and you close the door, you might not realize that the light's still on your car.
That's
battery.
fair, but I don't think my parents were doing it because they were worried the car
Oh.
was going to die. I think it was about glare inside.
Yeah, you can't see as well when you're driving.
Well, maybe my parents told me that, and that was a lie. Because I don't
Troy
know.
just
But-
sent us a text. Wait, that's not true. That's not illegal.
Wait, holy shit!
I mean, I don't know if I knew that if it was legal or not. I just thought it was annoying.
Super legal to turn the light on inside your own car.
I don't want Troy to come in.
They're going to put up a roadblock.
I kind of want Troy to come in here for a second.
Notice
They're throwing out like a spike strip.
what I do, officer. I noticed
feel
that light was on inside your car. What were you
Yes.
doing? Looking for something?
Nothing.
You're going downtown. I met multiple people in college who thought that. Jackie thought her mom told her U-turns were illegal because when she was learning driving, she was like, I don't want you doing that.
Dude, I'm going to write these down. So the illegal excuse is good. Just say stuff is illegal.
Oh wait, there's another one.
What was
Wait,
the
let
other
me
one
find
that
it.
was really good? We just
The
said it.
characters are asleep.
Oh yeah.
The characters
That's
are
a good
asleep.
one.
Yeah. Paw Patrol's asleep. The other one speaking of illegal, this one's kind of funny. This one's from Nick.
Nikki.
When I was younger, so Nick had 5 siblings. And so he's like, when we were acting up and refusing to listen, one of my parents would leave the house and go run an errand. And my other parent would call the cops. And they were actually, and so they would knock on the door and the police would be there. But it turns out they were actually just calling the other parent who would leave the house, and that parent would just use a fake voice and pretend to be a police officer that would come and arrest us if we didn't get our shit together. And he said it worked every time
Scared
until they
straight.
were like 13 years old.
That's
Love
really good.
that.
It's genius, actually.
That might be illegal.
That's
Impersonating a cop.
Impersonating a cop is illegal.
on the phone.
I think
Yeah,
that is actually
that's
illegal.
definitely
What about also, this is like I'm going to double and triple reminder if you're with kids of a certain age to stop listening now, because now I'm going to get into territory.
Ooh. This is
this-
the good stuff.
So it's from Sean.
Sean.
Hey.
Without a doubt, the most useful lie is you can tell your child is that you have Santa's phone number and you can hit him up whenever.
Yeah. My parents used to do the thing where they would write Santa letters on our behalf or against us.
You want me to get Santa on the horn? Huh? Tell him what you just did?
I'm telling you, kids are so gullible. It's amazing.
Dude,
I got Santa here on speed dial, ready to hear about what you did in the kitchen this morning.
Dude, Sean says a 6-year-old is never more remorseful than when he hears an outbound call to the North Pole on speakerphone.
Fuck Santa. No.
Dude,
he
and
said
then you should take it a step further. The same way they had the neighbors impersonating the police, you should just have a friend that
Name
just
Santa
plays
in your
Santa.
phone.
Yeah, name Santa in your phone.
Dude,
And they know
That's
that if that
good.
number is ever called, they just have to pretend they're Santa on
Dude.
literally, Craig, you literally took the words out of my mouth. Sean was like, his kid got suspicious once, so he had one of his boys answer, and he was just like, his boy was just like, ho, ho, ho.
He's like, ho, ho, hello.
Buddy Elf, what's your favorite color?
That's a great way to answer the phone. I actually have done
It
that.
is.
Santa's office.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? I think this is the best one. And of all the parents willing to steal stuff, I wish my parents had done this with me. I think this is brilliant. A lot of these serve the purpose of day-to-day survival. This one's really smart. Matt says, we told our youngest son that every birthday he gets a whole new set of taste buds. And so he has to try and eat new things and new foods because he has new
Oh.
taste buds now.
Wow.
God, that's fucking good.
That's
These are actually really helpful because Calvin he just refuses to eat anything new.
Yeah. Just tell him
So
that
you
he has
get
totally new taste
you
buds
get
now.
a new set of taste buds every year, and you have to try new stuff.
All your taste buds are different now.
Oh wow, that is fucking brilliant.
Which isn't even like totally a lie.
yeah, right.
I
They
mean,
evolve.
true, sure.
They change as you.
It's like 93% lie.
I like a million things now that I didn't like 20 years ago.
I felt old when I liked olives. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that I hated olives. They
That's
were my least favorite.
ironically one of the only things Calvin does eat.
Oh, olives.
Olives, black olives, which I think are absolute garbage.
Can I tell a quick story about my taste buds?
food. Please.
Yes.
Okay, so I like most things. There's pretty much no food I don't like. The one thing I couldn't really deal with was blue cheese. I hated blue cheese growing up.
Blue cheese is intense. Yeah.
It's very specific, right? You kind of
Divisive.
either love it or you hate it. And there's a restaurant in LA that I love called Father's Office. I don't mind shouting them out because they're great. There's two of them. There's one in Culver City, one in Santa Monica. The Santa
Great
Monica
burger.
one is the original great burger. The thing about the burger, very specific. The first time I went when I moved to LA, I ordered the burger because I heard it was great. And I said, it comes with blue cheese. I said, I'll have the burger, no blue cheese. And the waiter was like, I'm sorry, we don't do substitutions. And I said, well, then just remove the blue cheese. He said, I'm sorry, we don't do alterations. And I said, no, I'm saving you cheese. I'm saving you extra cheese. I'll pay the same price, but you keep the
I'm
cheese.
saving you money.
I'm saving you money and saving you cheese. I'll pay the same price. He said no. And so I basically didn't really eat the burger for a couple years. Well, everybody kept talking about how goddamn good the burger was. So I started to just order the burger and muscle my way through it. And now, 7 years later, since I've been in LA, 8 years later, I now love the burger, get it all the time. And honestly, I kind of don't mind blue cheese anymore. And it really is like immersion therapy of just forcing it over and over and over. It does work and your body will adapt.
100%. I think it's different, but it's like when you first pick up coffee or beer. I think I remember the first time I had both of those, it was absolutely disgusting. And I was like, why do people drink this? This is horrific. And then once
you
it
had
hits
10 of them.
now once it hits your lips, it's so good. You just need more.
I had that moment in the pandemic. I remember being at the supermarket and thinking, what beer do I even like now?
Yeah.
Because I realized that I actually liked IPAs more than
Beer is
lagers,
weird
which
though, because beer is more of a feeling than it is taste. Like, I still don't know if beer tastes good.
It's like word association.
But the feeling of beer is unparalleled.
Well, it's so. All right, wait. I was at a bachelor party a couple months ago. Shout out my friend Bobby, his bachelor party, and his brother-in-law was there. His brother-in-law was actually a beer distributor. And so it's so funny. Like, we were at this, like, we were in New Orleans, actually. It was like when we were in New Orleans, like the week before New Orleans. And we were at this like nice cocktail place.
Heifetz went to New Orleans twice within this
in
period.
like 2.5 weeks.
Foot of snow, and we flew to fucking New Orleans. People were skating in the French. People were playing ice hockey in the French Quarter. But
wow.
And I'm like, they did this like duck fat washed bourbon. It was insane. And I like go to take a sip, and his brother-in-law looks and says, "You're on the beach. You're on the beach. Sand between your toes. Picture it. Picture being on the beach. Ocean, sounds, vacation, paradise." And I took a sip. And I sit down, I look at him, and I thought he was
Transports
crazy.
you.
I look at him, and I'm like, that was the best sip of alcohol I've ever had in my entire life. And I was like, it was so weird, but it worked. And it made me realize, like, I don't think that's the best drink I ever had, but there was something about sometimes you're just in the right moment, and someone
It's a
like
feeling.
you're just, yeah.
I mean, it's the reason why I'm not, to be honest, I probably wouldn't drink non-alcoholic beer. I don't need the taste that much. It's the feeling. It's, it's what it brings you.
But sometimes you got to just hold something. At the end of the day, we're like animals that were supposed to walk on 4s, and now we're on 2s. And I think that deep in our lizard brain, we still feel kind of weird that we're just T-Rexing up here. And
talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about a couple of beers.
That was really funny.
Maybe a little bump. It comes with
if you're starting to feel a little drowsy, try a little bump.
It comes with a key. Oh, it's so good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that was Shane Gillis' SNL skit. Super funny.
You're right, though, Ivan. It's
beers.
about holding something. Like, when I'm at an event and I don't really know many people, you need a drink in the hand can take you a long way.
Dude, what do you do with your hands, too?
I
It's
know.
just like alternative. Like, it's a nightmare. Like, wait here. I got more of these things here. Oh, this one. Oh, Eli
Mitchell.
Eli Manning. When my son turned 2, he started using Alexa to play songs, and since he's 2 and not very good at talking, it would always take him a few tries. So I told him that if he slows down and says please, Alexa will play him the song, and now he actually says please when he talks.
Oh,
Which
That's smart.
isn't funny, but just seemed like a really good one to share.
That is like that hits close to home because Calvin. There's time like I'm trying to teach him to be a polite child, and there's times where he'll just like be watching a show and scream water. I'm just like, dude, no.
he's getting started early. Beer.
Okay. I'm like, that is not
Try
how
a couple
you ask.
beers,
for something.
Calvin.
Anyway,
The other one I like is Mike. Mike.
Mikey.
The classic parenting lie that works in the winter for daylight savings is, of course, it's bedtime. It's dark outside.
Yeah.
Breaks
Yeah.
their brains.
It's like 4:45.
What are you going to do? Tell time?
Yeah, it's so depressing. God, I hate that.
All right. Please email your other parenting lies at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. My personal favorite is still the ice cream machine. The ice cream music means the truck is out of ice cream.
That's borderline cruel.
That's so, dude, there's so many good ones.
That's borderline abuse.
And like,
Dude.
will really cause trouble when that kid's at school and he's like feeling gaslit by everyone
yeah.
else, convinced that the music means they're out of ice cream.
They're playing music so the ice cream resupply van will find them.
Dude, there's so many good ones. Jared had one that was like, we tell our kids that Chuck E. Cheese only lets you in if you're invited for a party or taken by grandparents. But parents are not allowed to bring their kids.
Only
without an
the
invite.
grandparents. That's super smart. Damn.
Parents can't just bring their kids to Chuck E. Cheese. That's not
Only
allowed.
grandparents rule. I like that. I'm literally writing these down.
Dude. Oh, wait, one more. Matthew says, when I was a kid, my parents told me we couldn't get a trampoline because if we did, their homeowner's insurance would drop them. And I, being a child,
As a kid, what do you
who did not
understand
know
that?
anything about insurance, accepted this as truth.
Yeah.
Never asked for a trampoline again. My neighbors had a trampoline, and my sister and I used to play on it. My parents did not really get along with the parents who owned this house. And at the time, I fully believed it was because their parents had chosen to get a trampoline instead of homeowners insurance.
My parents were very anti-trampoline. I was not
Same.
allowed to have one.
My mom. Yeah, my mom.
Yeah.
I think every story is the same, where it's like your mom knew someone who like broke their neck on a trampoline.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. It was like some
Yeah.
terrible injury. And to this day, I've never really been a big trampoline person.
No.
It kind of just seemed like not worth the fun. Like the risk is not worth the fun.
Craig's been indoctrinated.
Yeah, I'm out on
Yeah.
trampolines too.
Trampolines are fun as fuck. What are you talking about? I did jump on a trampoline the other day, and it's like made me realize how old I am because I'm like, damn, I'm landing hard. This like hurts my back.
I just always got afraid of the edges where the cords
Yeah.
are connected and there's the holes that you can slip through. It freaked me out.
A lot of the trampolines these days, Craig, have pads over the sides, and then they have also like netting around that so you can't fall out.
I know, but there's just
So they're
something-
slightly safer.
Or you just like blow out your knee or land on your head. And break
I was gonna
your
say,
neck.
dude, my
There's
brother,
there's neck injury issues, yeah.
my brother, one of his birthdays, they got like a little bouncy castle, and my mom got in the bouncy castle at the very end of the party, and then she like tore her meniscus.
Oh Jesus!
At what age should you stop jumping?
Oh, that's a great question.
31.
We should ask Bill that.
31? Oh God!
I'm kidding.
Fuck.
No, it's probably more like 41.
I will say, I have a deep seated fear. I've started playing beach volleyball in Washington D.C. It's like a great
Just in jeans,
rec league, and
Top Gun style.
yeah, honestly, yeah, it's pretty sick. But I'm pretty terrified of jumping now. Like I'm 30, and I'm just like,
Yeah, but
I
at
just
least
feel
when
like I'm
you're on
gonna
the
tear my
sand,
Achilles.
like you can't get high off the ground.
It's
Like,
forgiving.
I would say that's the safest place to jump is the sand.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the safest, but it's up there.
I mean, I don't know. Jumping in basketball, you could come down on somebody's ankle. It's a hard one. I think, you get like a foot off the ground maybe when you're jumping on the sand.
There's nothing harder than
It's
jumping
super hard
from
to jump on
sand.
sand.
I mean, I got like a 35-inch vertical. so
There's
it's
nothing
fine.
that makes you feel less in shape
Yes.
than doing anything on sand.
Yeah. Dude, even like
It can't fucking move.
I used to
running.
run on the beach a lot barefoot, and after like 2 jogs, your Achilles tendons and your calves are so much more sore
Oh, yeah.
than when
Do you
you're on
remember-
pavement.
Well,
There was
I
the
also-
video of Joe Biden trying to walk on sand.
Oh yeah.
well, I told you guys, so I have really flat feet. Like when I say flat, like I don't have an arch. So when I've gone to the beach, when I've like done runs, I've like seen like small children looking at the footprints I left behind and being like, "What animal is that?"
It's a seal?
A moose was here.
My God.
Oh, man.
All right. Anything else?
Those are all
That's it.
great.
Emails at ringerfantasyfootballgmail.com.
Yeah, those are
Please
awesome.
email more parent lies, things your parents lie to you about or you lie to your children about. We want all the lies.
Should we get dicey here and be like, what are the lies you tell your spouse?
Oh my God. That's the memes of just like how long golf takes is really funny.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Craig the other day and Mad Men came up and I was like, I got to rewatch Mad Men. So I started watching it, Craig. I think it's like episode 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
They're working with a bank and they're like advertising gimmick is that you could get your own bank account away from your family so they can't tell what the fuck you're doing with your money.
Infidelity. That's the name of the bank. Infidelity.
And they call it like the executive account or something.
Wait, that's
like
a
that.
business idea.
Yeah.
Start infidelity.
Infidelity insurance.
And the bank guy was like, "This is brilliant. We've been doing this forever. But we haven't figured out how to charge for it."
Introducing your own credit card. Private checking account.
I still want to see Don Draper do Mad Men, but like with Find My Friends on an iPhone. Just see how he gets away with that shit.
It's tough now.
You couldn't.
No. Like we said before, is it possible to buy a fucking engagement ring without getting tracked?
Dude, I know.
It's the most
Those are
ironic
great
thing.
stories. The Find My Friends stories are good.
Dude, I almost left my phone at a driving range just so I could go buy a ring. So she'd
It's
think I was golfing.
That's hilarious.
That's actually, Craig, I think the biggest generational difference between our generation and DK's is that I don't think anyone his age uses Find My Friends with and all like I
No, we
have
do.
an iPhone.
We do.
Well, because you would use it for your children.
It's far less common, I'd say probably, but there's a handful of people that I do find my friends with. I will say though, like growing up and being in that world where no one even had phones, you didn't know where the fuck anyone was at any given time.
I mean, that was the same
like
with
the-
us.
I think it's just wild, like now to think about that.
I can
Yeah.
tell you what street my brother is on in a Canadian ski town right now. Of
course.
Like at some level, we know too much about
It's
each
like one of my buddies lives in Hawaii and I can just see him out in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean, like at all times. It's so weird.
I know. And now,
Just surrounded by thousands of
Also,
miles
you
of
can't
water.
just lie to your friends anymore about going. Like you have to. I actually think it's made more honesty because you can't just say, "I'm out of town" or "I'm doing something." Like, no, you're at home. I fucking see you.
I don't share locations with friends.
But then, how you gonna stop sharing though and still see theirs?
I never started.
Mm,
I keep it to family.
Honestly, I respect that.
that's probably better.
Friends, it's like I care about where Liz is. It's like my mother and my father. I don't need anybody else.
Probably for the best.
You know?
I'll also take Find My Friends stories on iPhone. Just email those too. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Troy. Shout out to Troy learning that it's not illegal to have the light on in the car. Thank
Fucking
you, Austin. Thank you, Kyle.
On that commute home today,
He's just
toss on
going to
that
be
light.
Turn on the
blazing
rounds.
that light. Yeah.
I do think the battery thing's real. I think you leave the light on in the car, the battery's going to die.
I mean, that's a
Yeah,
real
yeah. Once you
concern.
if you park and leave for a couple hours, you leave the light on, you're screwed. But
Yeah.
while you're in the car, it's like,
no, it's not. No, but you're going to forget to turn it off. Anyway, thank you, Lauren.
Lauren,
Thank you, Night Ranger. Remember
I don't-
Sister Christian?
yeah. Sister,
Sister
Christian,
Christian,
other times have come.
Well, Motorhead.
What's your price for life? That song is in Boogie
Fucking
Nights.
great.
I think it's in Boogie Nights.
Is it? It's a very, very famous song. We used to play that at parties all the time.
I didn't know the name of the artist. But yeah, Sister Christian rips.
I don't know if Night Ranger really did a lot of other stuff, to be honest. They might
The
have
first
just been
5
kind of-
albums sold more than 10 million copies.
Wow. 40 years old? Damn. That's as of a year ago.
So 41.
I don't like how time passes.
Oh yeah, it is Boogie Nights. Oh yeah, it's when he's at the drug dealer's.
What is the
stand.
song? Can you sing it one more time?
We're motoring, hard electric guitar.
What's
Your price for flight. Dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Finding Mr. Right. We'll be all right tonight.
And then there's like piano and stuff.
Yeah, it's good, dude. It's good.
Oh my God, dude. I was at
80s anthem.
I was at my friend Drew's last night, who's a fan of the show, and
Shout out Drew.
they have a fun
Big
setup
ups to
over there
Drew.
with him and his like him and his family, and they have like a big fun family situation at their house, and we're there with like his sister-in-law, her husband, and everything, and they have like the young daughter who's like I think 2 years old, and she like hated me. And so the moment I walked in, she hated
What?
me. And so the moment I walked away from her, she starts playing with Jackie and everything. And Jackie and her get along great. And she's showing Jackie her favorite toys, everything. And she didn't want anything to do with me. And then, you know how I have the worst singing voice ever?
Mm-hmm.
I actually sang to her and I was like, do you want to build a snowman? And everyone's like, that's terrible, and making fun of me. And then she cuts through the noise and she's like, sing more. I'm like, I don't know the words. So I'm just like, again, I'm like, do you want to build a snowman? And she's just like, keep going. I'm like, line, what's next in the song? I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
There's something for everyone out there, you know?
yeah.
People
That's
have
great.
weird.
It was like the best compliment I've ever gotten because I'm the worst singer of all time.
You got to learn
What's
that
the-
Frozen
who's-
song now.
Who's like the worst singer that is a singer? You know, who has like the worst voice?
LMFAO.
Yes, I mean the list goes on and on. You could probably. You mean like because you can't really go with like rapper types, right? We're talking about like people who sing.
Yeah, I think there's a difference.
Like, is it like a Tom Waits?
Yeah, like I don't think Jay-Z's singing voice is what we're talking about here.
This is going to sound bad, but like Bob Dylan.
Right. It sounds like he's making fun of someone who would be singing.
Yeah.
Like he's like smarmy.
Wait, DK, are you going to sing Espresso? You sang Espresso before we got on this recording.
I don't know the words very well.
the
Craig, you
words
know the
don't
words
matter.
better.
The
It
words
was
don't
like,
make any sense.
shit, what was the, now I got like
Thinking about
Sister
me
Christian.
every
Oh,
night.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
An espresso. That's all I know.
DK's like 10 months late.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's a good song.
No, that's like actually very true with almost everything. I'm always like 10 months late to every pop culture thing. I just wait for like almost a year to watch anything that's popular at any given time.
Well, because if you're going to learn, you have such limited time, you're a dad, and then
Yeah.
you're going to learn something, and then it goes away. You're like, oh my God.
It's like I also can't really consume much pop culture during the NFL season. I'm just like too busy with
Yeah.
work. And so it's just, I kind of just put it off till the summer and then I catch up. Anyway, Sabrina Carpenter has some really catchy tunes. Tell you
Sure.
that much.
yeah.
I'm not singing anymore though.
Check
Thinking
out-
about me.
Check out the rest of her album. It's good.
What is it? Thinking about me or thinking about you?
Thinking about me. But it's like Max Martin. It's like I want it that way. The lyrics don't make any sense. It's just like, it just pops.
What do you mean? She's espresso. She keeps
But
it
have
up.
you read, but the words don't make sense.
Oh,
It's like I want it that way. It's like, what does that even mean?
Sexual
Well,
innuendo.
I want it that way. Yeah, it was literally just like Swedish translated to English, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
It's just-
Wait, hold on. So who did we land on? Is Bob Dylan?
I feel like people are going to get mad about that.
Austin said, "I'll fucking kill you."
But like, like in the traditional sense, Bob Dylan does not have.
It's a weird question. It's like, who's the worst football player who's good in the NFL? It's like, it's a hard question. Someone's got to be the answer.
Like, I really like Bob Dylan, but he's not exactly Frank Sinatra. They do different things.
The dulcet tones of
he's
Bob
a poet.
Dylan.
Bob Dylan is a poet, but you know.
Debating saying something that's absolute sacrilege. I might get this might be the end of the show if I say it.
I mean, are you going to say Taylor Swift?
No.
Oh.
You're right. That would have
Craig wants to.
Cut that.
Bleep.
What are you going to say, Mariah Carey?
I say this as someone who, like, it's like one of my absolute top 5 favorite artists, and I've been to actually more of their concerts than anyone.
Wait, don't tell me. Man or woman?
Man.
Give me an age range. Over under
Dylan-ish.
45. Oh, old.
He's been to a bunch of concerts?
Bruce Springsteen?
Yes. Is Springsteen, like, he's a vibe.
It's fair. That's fair.
The voice is not like what I would lead with Bruce Springsteen.
This pot has veered into sacrilege territory.
I know, just people just screaming.
Naming icons who can't sing.
Michael Jackson
Overrated.
sucked
Dude,
at singing.
You know where we were? That thing of the 3 kids sitting around the coffee, like 12-year-olds who are sitting around doing the
MD
pod, and it's just
Foodies?
like-
Yeah. Those kids are blowing out.
I don't know if these beloved singers can sing.
It's like the AC/DC guy.
I'm like, Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason those songs are like 4,000 years old. All right, goodbye, everyone.
Thinking about me. Bye.